Okay, what's up, people? This is Mikhail, the Idea Shifter. This is the Blue Room Podcast. And like I say on every podcast, I bless the mic because I got something to say. I rock headphones because I'm listening twice as much as I talk. And this podcast is spinning off from one we did last week. It was about men and marriage. And we went over some statistics that just like shocked me. Okay, they shocked me that 75% of divorces are requested by women. But y'all know how my mind works. Mathematically, I added it up. That means in 2022, it was about 746,000 divorces. That means that 596,800 is these divorces which was requested by women, y'all. Now, I'm not saying women, like I said on the last podcast, I'm not saying they don't have a reason to ask for divorces. But as men, I want us to know what the hell is going wrong. Like why can't we stay together? It's not that you have to be married, but I'm the type, man, if you're gonna do something, you do it right. You do it how it's supposed to do, and you make it last. So right now, I got three people that are very dynamic people. I got a corporate guy. I got two authors. I got a life coach on here. So you know what? We're gonna do ladies first. I don't need to introduce. Well, I might need to introduce myself, but I'm not. So we're gonna go Deidre, then we're gonna go Reba, then we're gonna go Gary. Introduce yourselves. Let people know. Make sure you let them know how long you've been married and whatever pertinent information so that they know you are quote unquote a life expert on this topic. So go ahead, shoot, Deidre.
Hey everyone, I am DP, author DP of What is a Good Husband. It's my first children's book that I wrote with many, many more to come. I have been married 8 years. Yay me. Many, many more to come for those as well. How y'all doing out there?
Well, thanks for coming on. I'm really looking forward to hear about how a person who wrote a children's book about being a husband feels about 596,800 women asking for divorce last year. This is gonna be
Right.
good.
The
Right,
reason
right.
why I had to write a children's book about why men need to be better husbands. Those reasons.
Okay, let's go next.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Reba Haas. I am the Breakthrough Coach, as you see on the screen, but I have a podcast too, the Breakthrough Podcast. I am a life coach. I help people heal from their trauma and their past experiences and also abuse. So I have two books that I have. From Ashes to Beauty is one, and A Blessing in Disguise is my first one. And I am currently separated, going on 8 years married also. But I am separated and I am the one that asked for divorce. So that's me.
Woo, so that's 596,801. I'm gonna add you to the number. Okay,
He
okay.
said he gonna
I'm
add you to
in.
the number.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. It's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet you. Like that smile. Now, come on. What's up, Gary? You my backup on here. You the only
Yeah, I
dude on
got
here.
you. I got you. I got you. Hey, everybody. My name is Gareth Daniels. Been married for 15 years. Have three children. Professionally, I'm a director of real estate for a medical real estate investment trust company. And thank you for having me. Really glad to be here and be a part of this discussion,
Yes.
which is very needed, very important.
Oh yes,
Yes.
and I'm letting y'all know. I'm setting the tone. This is not to say women are wrong or women are right, but men, we need to learn something. Okay. And I was
Yeah,
just
those
talking to
some huge
somebody at my
numbers.
job. What I found out is that women sit up with women and try to talk about men. Women try to learn about men from women, and men try to learn about women from other men instead of men learning about women from women and women learning about women from men. So that's the reason why I got this set up this way. Okay. So simply put, whichever woman wants to answer this first. Why are 75 to 80%, which adds up to 596,801 if we add Reba, why are these women requesting a divorce? Come on, we need to hear this.
All right. You
Oh,
want to take it
well,
away, D, or me?
yeah, well, I'll start. In my humble opinion, I just really think the number is so high because women just give up, and the men will stay there, as long as they getting a home cooked meal and they got a warm bed, they don't really leave. They don't never see the problem. They like really clueless. And you have this woman here that's probably then had a billion conversations with this guy, like, hey, I need this, I'm not feeling this, I need this going on. This is my needs are not being met here, here, here. And they're like, yeah. They don't pay attention to a woman's needs like that. Almost, how they do black women with their pain. It's like it don't exist. We gotta endure. And then it's like, because we take it and we're forgiven and we like, all right, we take it on the chin and we keep on trucking. But nothing never changes. And eventually the woman be like, all right, I gotta love me, Lucius.
So you said, so basically you saying women pretty much, I mean, the men stick around. It sounds like because they benefit from sticking around pretty much. That if that's what you mean, they benefit from sticking around, but they're not changing. They don't change. They'll stick around forever. And the woman stays and endures that pain, and he's just there because he's benefiting, but she is not. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
That's basically in a nutshell what I'm saying. Like, we stay in these marriages and we still doing what we supposed to do unhappily, still cooking, still cleaning, still, sexually providing with a smile on our face, but down in the inside. So they'll take that little bit like a liver, as big as your liver is, if you got this much a healthy liver, it'll still keep going. So that little bit that they get from you, they'll keep trucking with that. They don't see the problem. Although we know what the problems are. You know what I'm saying?
By the way, y'all, that's the definition of active listening. That's a technique that you use in marriage, so you get the right message from your wife or your spouse, so that you know what they said. You let them reframe it, so you leave with the right understanding. So I just want to illustrate that because I'm doing a video about that actually, because I found out that I wasn't as good of a listener as I thought I was. So what you got, Reba? What you got?
All right, so this is deep. Piggyback on what Dee said. Personally, yes, I do think it's that, but I also want to piggyback on what you said. First, when you first introduced, you said do it right. I wrote it down, and do it how it's supposed to do, how it's supposed to be, right? I think, like I said, to piggyback on what Dee said, once we get used to the person, we go through this, like they call the 7-year itch, and I do believe sometimes that is very true. People change and people transform. And sometimes the other spouse may not want, which is the man, may not want to see that. And also when you're flourishing and you're coming into your person, the other person may be still that person that they was when y'all first got married. Well, that's not how marriage is supposed to work. You're supposed to be growing together. You're supposed to be nurturing each other. And you're also supposed to be separately but independent, but at the same time, collectively growing together in marriage, period. And so the same person that I was when I married you, maybe 10, 15, or when we was dating years ago, I am flourishing into this beautiful blossom woman. And you may not want to see that. It may be a lot of things about finances. It may be things about, maybe I felt like, because men are supposed to be the protectors and providers, maybe I felt like that's your position, that's your role, and I'm still doing my role. But also, maybe that's something I want to do and expand my life and my career. And maybe you stuck into, well, you're supposed to be this one person, and you're supposed to be this, and you're supposed to be that. Maybe the person don't want to see you grow. It's a lot of reasons, but I'll say, logistically, my reason is because I think a lot of marriages outgrow each other, and we don't want to do the work after we outgrow each other. And so one person may not want to do the work like she just said, and that's the reason why I said piggyback off what she said, because it has to be growth in anything. You can't just be dead, because after a while, transformation has to come in the marriage. And if I could say that I'm still the same person from 7, 8 years ago, I think that's a problem in a marriage. So that's a
problem in life.
But
exactly what they say, if it ain't growing, it's dead.
If it ain't growing, it's dead.
Right.
Okay, I hear a common theme, but I'm gonna go last so I can weave it together. So I like that. I like that. So relationships. People are in relationships, and some people don't grow. And if people don't grow, relationships don't grow. That's what I hear you saying.
Exactly.
And
yeah,
come on, Gary. What you got?
And the cool thing about what
go ahead,
said was,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Women are actively trying to change. Like we're actively trying to get rid of this trauma. We're actively reading and we're going and we're on podcasts. And it's like the men don't take those steps. So to piggyback off of what she said, it's like a woman be changing and growing and we elevating and we trying to educate ourselves and expand our mind, and the guys be the same dude for 10 years ago. They not reading. They not trying to expand. They not trying to heal. So it's like when you have the woman like that, look at that. The black women leading in education now. We leading in entrepreneurship now. Like
Exactly.
women is going crazy. And so the
Exactly.
man on the side being the same man he was 10 years ago, like she was saying, I can see how that'd be a problem where it's like y'all at a standstill.
Yes, and I'll say that because society is geared to the promotion of the woman now. It's no
Yeah.
longer geared for the encouragement of the man. That's a different podcast. Come on, Garrett, what you
Right.
got
Yeah. Go ahead.
about the
Yeah.
746,596,800, and we're gonna add Reba just because it's
And
fun to do it in the podcast
every
of people that
time.
ask for divorces. So come on, what's up, Garrett? What you
Well,
got?
so I'll say I definitely appreciate what the ladies are saying, but I want to be careful about making certain generalizations about what men do and don't do, because there are some guys out there that genuinely want to make their marriages work, and they do take it seriously, and they do,
I agree.
find things that they have to work on themselves. And I think, Reba, you mentioned something about growth earlier, and I think one aspect of it is that everybody grows at a different rate, right? So you, first of all, you're bringing two people together from probably two different backgrounds, two different life experiences, and you're expecting them to, the expectation is that they become one. But in that process, in that growth process, it happens at a different rate for each person. The man may grow faster, the woman may grow faster, but I think the level of communication in that growth process has to be solid, and there has to be a level of love and respect between the two people to say, you know what, I got to give you your space to grow. I may have certain expectations of what I think you should be and what you think I should be to meet the mark. But in saying that, I got to give you the room and the space to grow. Now, the question is, okay, well, how long do I give you? How long do I have to be patient? Well, let's go back to the vows that, and not everybody takes the same vows. Of course, today people write their own vows, but in general, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, for in sickness and in health, till death do us part, right? Most of the time people only want to focus on the richer, the healthy, and the good part of that vow, and not look at the opposite side. And usually the opposite side, when it comes, that's where the trouble comes, and that's where things disintegrate. And I just feel like people have to take a step back. And somebody said something before the podcast started about some people that are married shouldn't be married. I think people really need to think about those vows that they are taking before they cross that line and realize, like, man, this is really serious, and I'm going to be with this person no matter what. There are some boundaries, of course. There's some things that are probably non-negotiable, but in general, just making sure that you know what you're getting into before you get into that kind of commitment. That's just my opinion on that.
Yes, and the one common theme that everybody is making is growth, change, and expectations. Okay. Did you know that
Yes.
in the corporate world, they actually hire people to institute change? Like a company will bring somebody in. One of my
Mm.
guys is a change culture manager and project manager for Nordstrom's. This is what he does
Mm.
on a national scale. He brings change into something. And I think what happens in relationships is we all, if we want to be honest, we have an expectation in marriage that may be unrealistic. I think one thing, since so I'm married 15 years, but I was
Where's Leah?
divorced too. So this is my second time being married. Okay. And my expectations of marriage changed from the first time I married to the second time I married. And I think what
Right.
happens with people is you have these expectations of marriage, and when they don't meet up to your expectations, now you want a divorce. Now, every
Hmm.
situation, I'm not talking about somebody abusing you, okay? Let's get
Right.
Right.
the
Right.
outliers out. I'm not talking about somebody smacking you around or he's stealing your money and molesting your kids or vice versa. We're not talking about extreme situations because in these statistics, most of them end because of irreconcilable differences. They're not in or adultery, it's one or the other. And sometimes
Right.
with expectations, we don't have realistic expectations. And we don't really know what it requires to make those expectations work. So we have these expectations about what marriage is, and then there's what marriage is. Okay. So let me use myself as an example. When I married my wife was a virgin at 33, however old she was. I could not calculate the risk of marrying someone who had been a virgin that long. Because we talk about people that's being damaged, but there are certain things that when you sit and calculate in a marriage, you can't calculate what the change looks like. Like you didn't know that when you got to the 5th year of marriage, your desires were going to change. Okay.
Exactly.
So what tends to happen is I like the growing at different rates. So what I want to learn how to do as a man is to provide an atmosphere for my wife to grow in, and for me, for her to grow with me and me to grow with her. But what I found is, and I'm gonna put this out there, when you have growth, you have change, and you have expectations, right? Sometimes what happens in a marriage, patience, right? So sometimes things take patience. Sometimes things don't happen overnight. Sometimes there are things that happen in a marriage that you could not calculate. And a lot of the ways, you guys, some of us men, we don't know that we're damaged until we get with you. Like you don't know. I didn't know I was traumatized until I got with you. I didn't know how to communicate till I had somebody to communicate with. I didn't know that I didn't know how to manage money until I had to manage my money with you. I didn't know that I had to be accountable till it was somebody I had to tell when I was going to be home because I was going to be late. So these are not lessons that men learn as boys. So now when you marry a man that's a boy and he has to relearn these things, he doesn't know how a man operates. So a lot of times what women are up against is you're dealing with a boy. Because a man should have taught him the stuff that a woman is trying to teach him.
Amen.
So I'm teaching my son how to be accountable. I'm teaching him how to manage money. I'm teaching him how to grow. I'm teaching him how to pursue knowledge. A man will have difficulty learning that from a woman. I
And I
don't care
also,
how good of a woman you are. It's hard for a man to learn something from a woman that he should have learned from another man. So when we talk about growth, change, and expectations, one more thing, I'm gonna put this out there. I think people get married to be happy, and I think that's a mistake.
exactly.
I think when happiness leaves your marriage, now you don't want to be married anymore because you don't have the feeling of happy. You can go through, me and my wife went about 3 years where I felt like we were totally disconnected, but now we're on the other side of that. Now I got this connection, but if I had given up before I got there, I wouldn't have this wonderful marriage that I have. So what y'all got for me? I put a lot on the table. What you think about um preparation for marriage, purpose, whatever? Go ahead, Reed.
Okay, I wanted to piggyback off something you said. Okay, I agree with everything you said. And here's the thing. Also, when there are two people in a marriage, there has to be two people making the marriage work. We
Yes,
agree. There has to
yes.
be two people that want the marriage to work. Okay. You cannot go into a job and say, I ain't working today. Same way you can't go into anything
Right.
and
Go
get
get
a
fired.
paycheck.
You right,
Let's
you
be
right,
real. You think you're
you
going to get a
right.
paycheck and you just sitting there? Okay. You're going to
Yep.
get fired.
Say
So
that.
after a while of saying, I don't want to put the work in, and you're seeing your mate not want to put the work in because, like he said, like Corey said, it comes with discipline. It also comes with patience. It comes with, but on the other end, the person has to want to change. Let's talk about that. Let's hit that. You have to want to do the work. If
You
your
right.
spouse is coming to you saying, okay, I think we need to go to therapy, counseling, marriage
Yeah.
counseling, we're hitting a
Yeah.
roadblock because we know that does happen in marriage. If the
You
other
right.
person is saying no, you think after a while you're gonna keep on sitting there and saying, okay, I'm sticking in this till they say yes. After a
Definitely not.
while, it gotta be a discipline enough to the person say, I actually want to save this. This is
Yeah.
valuable to me. I got married for
Feel me.
a purpose, and I feel like this is going to benefit me. Yes, we gonna be at a roadblock. Yes, it's not gonna be always happy, and I like that you said that. It's not gonna always be happy. But when you get to those points, you have to have two people working at it. You can't get a paycheck if you ain't working.
Hey, you know what? As somebody who hires people, I surely know that. You ain't getting this check unless you punch that clock. I got you. I feel you.
Yeah.
What you got, Deej? What you got?
The crazy part is, since we on this analogy of a job, right? When you said that men don't want to change or basically listen to things from women, it had me thinking, if a marriage is like a job, right? It's like when you're trying to have a conversation where you're not even yelling or you're not pacing the blank game, but you're just, you mirror this person. I see you through and through every day, so I could say things to you that somebody else wouldn't see. And
Mhm.
it's like, and to me, in my opinion, in the marriages that I've seen and the friends that I listen to, when you have these conversations with your husband, like, hey, I'm you're lacking in this area. I'm not feeling the love over here, and blah blah blah. Whatever the conversation is about, immediately, sometimes, and not all men, because I want to say that now since he brought that up earlier. I don't want to generalize
Right.
all men.
Right. Not all men.
um, it just seems like it's an immediate defense, or you what's the word, criticizing me. And so it's like, with that being said, if we want to look at marriage like a job, right, like you said, you can't get a check. If your boss come up to you after your 90 days and say, hey, Mikhail, you've been doing wonderful in this area, your 90 days have been wonderful, but over here, when you speak to the customer, I would like for you to speak a little louder. And then also here, when you do this, you're not giving it your all. You can still a little more if you do this or do that, right? How is it that you could take that critique from your manager with no problem? You'll actually change, because if you don't change, the next 90 days, you're going to be out the door. But then if your wife come have a conversation with you and say, hey, in this area, I need you to speak a little louder. And oh, here, I need you to just, you give into it like 50%. Go and put a little more into it. Then you're critiquing them. You're trying to be their mom.
Yeah,
And nobody
yeah.
nobody wants to, no wife wants to hear you trying to be their mom. So eventually, it fades.
Yeah, because what he really saying is you trying to be my daddy. He just
Mm.
identifies you as a mom because you're a woman. He's really saying you're not my daddy. Go ahead, Garrett. Go ahead. I like that, Deidre. That was good.
Yeah,
That was deep.
just to kind of further that analogy with work, like I look at it also like it's an investment. Like when you invest in something, you're taking a risk, number one, and no risk, no reward, high risk, high reward. And so when you put in your portion of the investment, you're expecting to get something out of it. Now, of course, we're dealing with imperfection. We're dealing with two human beings, so you're not always going to get what you're looking for. But again, you want to make sure you're putting in the right things. You're investing the right things. You're investing in love. You're investing in patience, communication. You are making sure that you're fulfilling that person in every way. Financially, you're getting yourself together. So like it's just a matter of trying to figure out who you're dealing with, learning taking the time to learn who you're actually married to. Like people get married and then they're strangers and they don't get past that stranger
Yeah,
stage
yeah,
and saying it in that kind of way. It's like you really have to get to know this person. And that means I'm gonna get on that person's nerve from time to time. What is that button that I push to get on their nerve? They're gonna get on my nerves. What are the things that we have to dig a little bit deeper than the surface? And this also kind of led me to think, Mikhail, about what you said about expectations. Like who shapes our expectations of what marriage should be? Is it
yep.
social media? Is it Hollywood? Is it our own family experiences? Is it a
That's the
culmination of
next
all of those
segment. You're gonna
things?
be able to chop that up. Yeah.
Uh,
Go ahead. Go
so
ahead. No,
well
keep
I
going.
will
Keep going.
yeah,
Keep
and
keep
I
going.
think like our perception is based on reality. Hopefully is based on some form of reality, but unfortunately there are other factors that shape our perception of what marriage should be.
Yep.
And then it's like, is that realistic? Like you see the glamour and the good side of marriage, but it's some other sides that people don't really talk about. And I think that's a part of the problem, is that we don't really have these kind of discussions as often as we should, which will open the door to men being able to understand women better and where they're coming from, and vice versa. So yeah.
Yeah. And I write down everything y'all say. Well, I'm gonna hit the work thing because I hear people talk about marriage being work. And it is work, but I actually like what I do. Like I like what I do
Come
for a
on, say it
living.
again. Say it
Like I like
again.
what I do for a living. I like the businesses that I've started. I like the organizations that I've co-founded. I like what I do for a living. And sometimes in marriage, people just don't like their job. It
Mhm.
is what it is. Some people just don't like their job because in the last podcast, Corey said something that I thought about. And Antonio Perez says something. He said, nobody told me that being a father and being a husband will actually be this hard. Like I didn't know that it required this. Like when you get a job, you get a job description. Like you get a job description and people tell you,
Yeah.
they tell you this is your job, and then they tell you I'm going to train you how to do your job. So there's somebody telling you. So when I hire a therapist, I'm telling them how to do assessments. I'm telling them how to interact with funders. I'm telling them how to do billing. I'm telling them how to deal with crisis management, right? But unfortunately, when we go into marriages, there's no job description. It's just your expectations. So it's your expectations. And I don't think any of us, including me, have enough common sense to try to flesh out how someone can meet our expectations before we get committed. Because, and that's the thing about marriage being a job. It's a job that when the two people do it, they don't know what the job all entails all the way. Because sometimes life determines what your marriage requires. Okay. So, like for instance, if you're with somebody and they lose their job and they were the provider, that requires a pivot that man, I didn't know I was going to have to do that. Or when you have children, it changes the dynamic of the couple. Or now you're an entrepreneur versus a person who gets a check. Or now a person has a dream of something they want to be, but that dream interferes with them being married, no matter if it's the husband or the wife. So I think that people have to show you how to work. People need to flesh out some of these things before they get married. And I don't mean premarital counseling in a spiritual way. And I'm also a pastor. I gave up pastoring because I had kids. But we need men to build skills of marriage. We need people to know how to resolve conflict. I say this every week. We need
Come
them to
on.
know how to manage
Come
money.
on.
They need to know how to treat a woman. Men need to know how to treat themselves. They need to know that self-care is just not a basketball game and watching an athletic contest and going to the barbershop and have a conversation. Some of it is buying a
Yes.
book. Some of it is getting with your guys and really fleshing out your issues, going to see a therapist. So what I mean is, as much as we say marriage is work, you have to like your job. Like you gotta
Yes.
And
like
they don't like
you
them.
have to like your freaking job. Yeah, marriage
Yep.
is work, but you gotta like your job. And guess what
Yep.
else you gotta like? You gotta like your benefits package. You
Yeah.
gotta like your
Yes.
benefits package. You gotta like your
I know
health
Perfect.
that's right.
insurance. You gotta like how
Perfect.
much you make. You gotta like how much sex you get. There's a lot of things that go into marriage from a male side. And I think sometimes men, and I'm not trying to bash men because I'm a man, we ain't ready for the job. Sometimes we are just not
They
ready.
lied on their resume.
But you'll be
That
surprised
too.
that when a woman has expectations, they don't even really know what those expectations are. What I wanted at 20, I don't want now that I'm 48. I don't
Say it
want the same
again.
thing for a woman right now.
Right.
I just don't. So, and like y'all said, if people are not changing, they ain't growing. And that's
When
going
you
to
said,
conclude this segment. I got y'all on this next segment.
when you said your age almost did the Kevin Hart on you. Damn.
So look, y'all, now we're about to go into segment 2 of the Blue Room podcast. Y'all shared some good stuff. I bless the mic because I got something to say. I ride can phones because I actually do try to listen twice as much as I talk. And that's a lot of listening because I talk a whole lot, y'all. I do. But I got a passion for marriage. I got a passion for men. I see brothers out here struggling. And in this segment right here, we're actually going to talk about, if you look at the scrolling screen, that's how I keep up with my topics, right? The contributing factors. How does culture and society play into the expectations we were talking about in the last segment? Because you know what? We all go into marriage with expectations, y'all. We go into marriage. I don't know. Expectations looks different for everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
Some people are introverted. Some people are extroverted. I had some cousins that got married, and I said, "Do y'all just breathe in the same room with each other?" Because they don't talk that much. Like, do y'all just enjoy inhaling the same oxygen
Yeah.
together in the same room? So what contributing factors? Because right now, y'all, I'm gonna throw some factors out there. We got social media. We got social media. We have the news. We have hip hop. We have Housewives of Atlanta. You know, we
Oh,
have things skewing people's definition of what true relationship between people are. And I'm gonna throw it out there. I did this at the podcast. Black culture sucks sometimes. Y'all, I love being black. I love our culture, but it's some stuff about our culture that absolutely sucks and it's decimated our communities. So we're gonna start with the man on this one. How do you think that culture and society is influencing the 596,801 women who are asking for these divorces every year? Chop that up for me. What do you think? How does culture and society, what are the contributing factors?
Well, I'm gonna take it back a little bit. I was raised by my grandparents. My grandparents were married for 60 years before my grandfather passed away. Obviously, different time than now. But what it showed me, one, is that that's possible. That's what I was exposed to, and culturally for me, that's what I carried with me, hopefully into my marriage so far. I think times have changed because the culture has changed, the way people interact has changed. When you talk about social media, obviously my grandparents didn't have social media, but now we live in this microwave generation. Everything has to be done quickly. So if it's not quick, it's not real. If it's not quick, it doesn't work. So when you come into situations, relationships, marriages, and you can't resolve the issue quickly, then maybe the best answer is to just quit. You know, and we live in a world where quitting sometimes is easier. And that's, again, not a blanket statement, but in certain situations, quitting is easier than trying to resolve. And I think the world in which we live in now is geared towards that. It's instant gratification. It's, you know, I can imagine my grandparents in 60 years. I'm sure they had a few arguments. I'm sure they had some knockdown, drag out situations, not physically, but just certain things that came up and they had to deal with, but they figured out a way to make it work. And 60 years together with one individual, I don't even know if that still exists. And that's a lifetime, basically. Right. And so
yes.
I just think that, you know, culturally we're at a time now where people just don't want to take the time to learn each other. I kind of said that earlier, but that's just my view, culturally speaking.
Right. So you're saying because we live in quote unquote a microwave society where people's determination about politics, everything else, including relationships, is reduced to a meme or a 1 minute soundbite
Exactly.
on somebody's social media feed. I like that. So you're saying that the society of the microwave or the society of quick or the society of I need it right now, instant gratification is affecting marriage and taking out, they're turning marriage into a sprint, not a marathon, basically. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely. When you have a show like The Real Housewives of whatever, and that's being depicted as glamorous or something to be attained, and you see some of the drama and some of the issues they deal with, that they're setting a certain standard. Now, everybody doesn't believe that to be true, but it is a reflection of where we are in society, where they can make a show like this and it be extremely popular and successful, and people aspire to have lives like that. That's just where we are.
Come on, ladies. Let me what y'all got to say about this?
Pardon my face when you were talking. Because me and my husband he always telling me that, you know, because you watch those shows, you act like the women. Like, people generally watch the shows just because it's funny. You know, it's entertainment. We don't have to act like these women. So when you said that, it triggered me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to roll my eyes.
You good.
Because I was just like, I just think the crap is entertainment. I don't want to get on here and get no restaurant, throw water on nobody I'm talking to. Like, I'm not about to be in public acting like that. But I do like watching them, though, because they a fool.
So what you got? How does culture and society, how's that affecting marriage?
Oh, man. Because, man, we want what we think everybody else have, right? You look on Instagram, you see the couples in the nice tuxedos and the dresses and the flowers and the balloons and big diamond rings and trips, and then you look over like, where my balloons and my flowers and my trips and my tuxedo
At,
suits,
at the
and it's
dollar
like,
store.
you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you don't really see what goes beyond that. You know what I'm saying? Some of these be actors. Now, I ain't saying that some of them not real life, because there are some flourishing couples online. They got a bunch of followers or whatnot, but we don't see the behind the scenes. So you don't know it took them 100 takes to get that photo, but when you see it, then you look at your mate like, why we ain't living like this? Why we ain't? It make it real easy to compare what you don't have,
Yes,
and
that's
then
good.
that'll set that mess with your expectations, because you expect this. You know what I'm saying? We all want the best for us. So it's like, you will look at your situation and it'll make it look like it's not enough. And now
That's
you want
good.
to start an argument. Because you don't have 40 balloons and roses all over your floor when you come in from work. And so it's like, you don't think I'm worthy of these flowers all over the room? Why I don't have 40 balloons floating from the ceiling? You ain't took me on a trip in 7 years.
And that man gonna say, you better be glad you got a ceiling. No, I'm
You
just
know?
playing. That's good,
Yeah.
Deidre. That's good. So you're saying that people compare, like you'll compare your situation to just something you see.
Yeah, I mean, it's Instagram, Facebook. We got our phones in our hands 70% of the day, and so our mind, it's programming us to like
That's good.
want more, want more, and sometimes, like, we got a house, I got a house, I got a healthy marriage, I got healthy kids, we got food, we got a roof, we both got our own cars, and it's like, sometimes I have to be like, this is enough,
Yeah.
because social media will make you want more.
That's good. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. What you
Yeah.
got, life coach?
I piggyback on both of what you said. I also think I'm gonna say something that happened when I was, with my husband. We're technically still separated. If you all remember when Stephen Curry's mom got divorced, right? And they had this big thing about, it was real big, because they had this big thing about, oh my God. What I said at that time, and to my husband, that why do everybody think that you're going to get what you had in that household? That you going to get somebody better. These streets are raggedy. You see what I'm saying?
Ooh,
and it was so funny because they
that.
had a little meme where this man said it and was like, you don't want to do this. And everybody
I remember
thinks
that.
now, it's not like it used to be. You see what I'm saying? Everybody thinks that you could go find another me. Well, I might be that one that God sent to you to help you change, to help you transform. And instead of you investing and doing the work and doing what you got to do in your marriage. And I wasn't saying this to my husband because he was doing, I was just saying this as a statement that pretty much we think that we could just get another. We just think we could just drop and get another. But that might have been the person, your purpose partner, what we was talking about earlier, to help you get to where you need to go. And if you mess that up because you don't see that and you think I could just get another one, it's just like another bus. What the girls used to say, a guy come every 30 minutes like the bus. And that's not
15 minutes.
true. That is not true. Because you're going to go out there and get something raggedy. Yeah, he might not be abusing you or whatever, but he's not going to be a provider. He's not going to be a protector. And the same way for men. Men think that, I can get another one because, bodies and all this other stuff. And it's like, yeah, but that body only going to last so many years. And then she going to get fat and thrumpy. But she going to love you when you're in the hospital bed. She going to love you and love them kids. Can she take care of them kids? Can she hold it down like somebody said earlier? You lose a job. Men lose jobs too. And you lose a job. Can that woman hold you down when you lose that job? Can the world change? Or whatever. We look at outside social media, whatever you want to call it, and think we could just get another. I can just marry somebody else. Right. But then you're going to be back in the same situation, or you're going to be in a worse situation. And I think a lot of times we think that this person that we with don't supposed to be the best person for us. That's supposed to be the person that's supposed to help you grow. That's supposed to be the person that you chose, like you said, I do in all those vows. that you said under God or wherever you said it at. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be, but wherever you said it at,
right. Whatever you
that
did.
I can just get. I mean, and I had got it, and I'm gonna be real. I have got it told to say it to me. I can just get another you. Really, really, really. Somebody's gonna do all the stuff I'm doing as a wife. Really. Okay.
My
You know
new
what I'm saying?
shirt,
So
my
I
new
think that's
T-shirt
another
about to
thing
say
too.
these streets regularly.
You know what? And I like what all of y'all saying because I think culture and society is just it really harms marriage because people get their
Yeah.
interpretation of marriage from all the wrong places. They just do. And I heard you say no struggle. People want more. And there's a false sense of how things are going on. And I want to talk about the struggle. I ain't gonna piggyback. That pig back gotta be heavy. Everybody done put something on that pig back, so I can't put it on there, y'all. The struggle, right? When I met my wife, she was totally different from anybody I had ever dated. She was a bigger woman,
Okay.
and we don't think anything alike. But I knew she had the ability to struggle. Like I knew she had the ability to struggle because
Yes.
when he was talking about his parents being married for 60 years, right? There
Exactly.
is most people can't keep a job for 2 years. Do you understand? Most people can't stay in a house for 2 years anymore. I think that we
Come
have
on.
created something where people just cannot struggle. They don't understand that life is not about instant gratification. Okay, you
Mm.
can't treat a marriage like you treat your career. It's not the same
Mhm.
thing. You can't treat a marriage like it's your car, where you lease one every 2 years and you get another one every 2 years because it's going to always roll correctly. I think that when we approach marriage, most people approach marriage to be happy, and it lines up with what social media is selling people. People will sell you a program that will get you rich in 365 days and tell you you ain't got to do nothing. That's what people do with marriages. I'm going to get married. Now, there's two types of women, and I might get myself in trouble, but these are two types of women I see. You have women who want men to take care of them, and then you can have women who don't want a man to do anything for him. It's for them. It's like these outliers. You do get these women in between, like you guys, but you have these outliers where they have modern woman habits, but they have traditional woman expectations of their man. So they want
Mm.
to be a modern woman, but they want to have a traditional man. They want him to protect. They want him to provide. They want to do all of this. But if we're going to have these roles in marriages, we have to understand, and I'm going to go back to the work. It is work to have a marriage that functions appropriately for whatever couple that is, and society now is geared towards empowering women. We're not going to sit up here and act like, did you know right now that in college, there are 2 women to every man? And the numbers are increasing every year. That's
Mm.
not strange to people. There is 2 women to every man in college, which is a totally opposite statistic as it was than it was 30, 40 years ago. When was the last
Mm.
time you watched a program encouraging a man to be a better man? Right? I've even heard Deidre tell me, why they ain't preparing men to be married? Because we
Exactly.
will spend millions and millions of hours telling women who they're supposed to be when it's time to be married, but ain't nobody telling him who he's supposed to be, what he's supposed to be, what he's supposed to do, how he's supposed to learn. And that's my fault. A man like me, that's my fault if my son doesn't know this stuff. That's my fault. So it's a bigger problem for men because if fathers are not in a home because marriages are separating, that's truly why I have this podcast right now, because sometimes the purpose of your marriage is more important than the happiness in your marriage. If you
Exactly.
think generationally. So you'll tell me you want to leave something for your children's children, and most people talk about that in a monetary way.
Yep.
They don't talk about
Right.
that in a paternal way. They don't realize that there are things that girls and boys both are missing because we don't stay married. I told my wife, y'all, this sound bad. If my wife becomes the biggest slut on the south side of Chicago, we stand married, I'm living in the basement, and she can have upstairs. because I will not be separated from my children in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't want to do the home to homes. I don't want to do that. Okay.
Right.
So there's
Right.
some things about social media. They talk about generational wealth, but they don't talk about generational relationship. We
Right.
only
Right.
talk about generational wealth. We don't talk about generational relationship. So, like you said, Deidre, some of this stuff, people just want more. You get this car, you want a better car. This man
Yep.
got 40. This man got 40 balloons for his wife, and you mad because I got you 38. You not God dogging, I'm 2 balloons short. You know what I mean? Or you going on trips every year. You go on trips every other week, but they ain't got no money.
Yep.
Right? You going on trips every other week, but they're actually not happy. It's those couples who you don't see doing nothing like that on social media. They super happy because they don't need to know. Because they're not painting a false picture that, you know what? These trips make us happier. This money will
Mhm.
make me happier. These fake titties and this fake booty gonna make my husband love me more than he loves me now. She'll get back on. And I want us to pay attention to culture and society. And they're even legislating things that are making it difficult. So y'all give me some more on this. We got a little bit more time and
Can,
then we'll go to the
My,
next segment.
can I
go ahead.
go ahead, DJ? Go ahead.
Go ahead. I talk last.
So I was just, you made me think about something when you started talking about, advice and these kinds of things. I think it's very important to also add, like, who are you talking to get your advice? Who are you talking to about your marriage? Who are you talking to about your relationship? Because some people either don't have the experience and they want to tell you what you should be doing. Some people have the experience, but it's negative, and you may not be going through something as extreme as they are, but they're giving you
Yeah.
advice about marriage. So it's like, if you can find people that are successfully married, and I don't know how difficult that is, but I think who you get your advice, who you confide in, who you talk to about your marriage, if it's anyone, that's as important as anything else, because sometimes other people's problems can leak into their advice that they're
Ooh, that's
giving to
true.
you for your marriage.
That's true. Right. You're right. You
And,
gonna give me, you
and
let me
then
use your car and the transmission don't work. Quit playing. Go ahead, DJ.
the piggyback, or well, I know the piggyback is heavy, but to go with what you said, the problem I see with that is most men not talking.
Come on.
We get
You
what
right.
our girl, we get what our girls,
You
girl.
right.
Let me this month, 2 minutes. Don't ask me about how me and Dan doing, child. I better forgot what I was doing. And we don't see a lot of men that get together and fellowship and find problems. They don't want to talk about it. So, I'll get with Reba. Me and Reba done got on the phone, we done cried together, prayed together, all type of stuff,
Mhm.
and we don't have a problem with finding that fellowship, try to find those solutions. I feel, and not all men, but I just feel, from the things that I've seen, that don't happen on the men's side. You don't have a lot. I mean, Mikhail, you like that, of course, but it's not a lot of men that I know like you that'll call a brother up, like, man, dog, I'm really struggling in my marriage. You got some pointers. This is what's happening, because they don't talk.
You right.
They
You
don't. They
right.
don't talk. You know what I'm saying?
You right. I like that because you,
Dang, I said, you know what I'm saying?
so what? So what? But we
No,
actually
I'm
know
just.
what you're saying though. So you good. But I like that you said that because, and I'm just making a short comment, and then we gonna bring in the life coach. We men, they will talk about sports, they will talk about women, but they don't talk about relationship. Those are
Mm-mm.
different. You can talk about women and not talk about relationship. Okay,
Boy,
go
they
ahead,
talk
life
about
coach.
aliens, pale
You ain't
politics,
lying.
spaceships. Yeah, brother, I'm having a problem with my marriage. Yeah, I'm going to head out.
Right, right, right. Yeah, did you see Bad Boys 19? You know what I mean? Yeah. Let's go, life coach.
I also think it has to do with accountability. Um,
Oh,
Men
my
can
favorite
have the
word.
people that's around them, and they don't want the accountability. And I'm only talking from experience. I've had men and women, like Dee just said, people that are surround me. First of all, I believe in marriage. I believe You know, just because I'm going to get married again one day, and I do believe that marriage is beautiful, but I also believe marriage is work, and you have to have accountability. First of all, you have to be accountable for what you're doing in the marriage, and a lot of men don't have that accountability, or they don't want the accountability. They might have it, okay, but when they getting told what they're doing wrong, man, but she doing this, you know what, you just don't understand because you ain't married to her. It's like, instead of you talking, how about you start listening? You know, and so that's a lot of times what men do. They don't want that accountability. They may have someone and may have a couple of people and don't want the accountability. So it gets to a point where on the woman end in the spectrum, like, okay, I can't be doing all the work by myself. Goes back to what we were saying earlier. Can't be doing all the work by myself because you may have these people in the place. But I tell my son all the time, just like you said with the marriage, and I want to piggyback on that too. Sometimes, and this is the whole point of why women choose divorce. Sometimes women choose divorce when they got kids in the household. Listen to this. It's because they don't want what's replicated in the household negatively to impact their children. Now, we're talking about when Mikhail was talking about positively, and I wanted what the stats and everything about the kids. It could go both ways. If the kids is always seeing turmoil, trial, arguments, drama, abuse, everything else, why would you want your kids to see that? Just because they're in the household? So a lot of people, let's say, a lot of marriages I've known in the past have stayed for the kids, and then what happens when the kids get grown? They get divorced. So you be like, why they get divorced after 35, 45 years? Because they was waiting for the kids to grow up, because they couldn't stand each other when they was together. I personally didn't want to make a decision or a solution for that in my own marriage that I was in or whatever. And I made the decision for my kids. Now that's a whole nother story. But I made the decision for my kids because I do want to get married again. I do want my kids to see a positive marriage. I do want my kids to see a God-ordained marriage where, yes, there's work put into it on both ends. And so it could go both ways with, like we said, piggyback on why women choose divorce. It could be a lot of reasons, but kids could be a number one reason why whatever's going on in the household, why the women choose divorce.
Definitely in the top three. Definitely in the top three.
It is.
I definitely. It's this joke I have with my staff at work. You better watch who you get pregnant by, okay? Because you gotta watch who you let plant them seeds in you. Because whoever plant them seeds need to be able to plant them, water them, shine sun on them, and help them grow. So, because that's the responsibility of a seed planter. And I think that we don't give enough. And I said I mean, I ain't had no kids before I got married, but it wasn't because I wasn't planting seed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just rolled them dice and them double ones didn't come up on me. So I thank God for that. You know what I mean? But I want to say to stand together for the kids. I really do like that, because for men, that's insight. Sometimes they leave because they don't want the kids to be like you. And I'm not trying to bash men, but you know what? That's something I didn't sit up and think about. But I really like that. I really like that.
Yeah. And you don't want them to be like you, and you don't want them to see you. You know, the older your kids get, you know, it's cool when they 1 and 2 and 3, they ain't paying attention. But the older your kids get, they pay attention. You think they ain't listening to them arguments, and then when you stay, you got daughters. They learn to not respect men.
Yeah.
You know, you got sons.
Say it again.
They learn to not either. Now the sons can go two ways, right? Because they see the mama this doing all this, so the son maybe by the roll of the dice could be that type of man that'd be a better man because of the struggle and they saw everything that their mama go through, and maybe by the chance of God, he end up being a decent human being. But in the same time, he could be a man that has no respect for women, because since you stayed through the struggle for the kids, and your kids see that, they end up not having respect for you.
Yep.
Yes, and believe me, I'm not refuting you guys' point. I totally agree with that. But it goes down to, what was your concept of marriage before you got married? So when I got married, I didn't say, now mind y'all, I'm divorced. So I'm not being no hypocrite about this, but You know,
Right.
like I said, it goes back to the beginning of the conversation. I do believe that my kids are my responsibility. Like,
Yeah.
like I am going to trust that that I am going to stay with my wife, and I've been intentionally attempting to make sure we're ready for when our kids move out. But like I said, when you're involved in anything, let me put it to goals. When you set a goal for yourself, let's say you want to start a business, you could come up with 100 reasons why it can't work, but you only need one reason why it can to pursue it. But with marriage, we do it the opposite way. We'll find
Right.
one reason to end it instead of 99 reasons to make it work. And I
Amen.
question that
Good point.
thinking when we as human beings become married, because when we made the commitment, we said it would be forever. I didn't say it's going to be forever if, okay? I
Right.
said it's going to be forever. Now, am I telling y'all they shouldn't end sometime? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that out of all these numbers, every woman should have stayed. Every woman shouldn't have requested it. But I do think it's odd. Do you know what 80% is? If I give you $1 and you give me 80 cents, you only got 20 cents left. Those numbers are high. And to me, it's
I
just
think
particularly odd that in our community, the numbers are probably a little bit higher. Go ahead, Gary.
no, I was just gonna say with that 75 to 80%, it'd be interesting to know what percentage of those divorcees filed because of the extremes. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously abuse, infidelity, those are very extreme things that should not happen, but they do. So I wonder what percentage are filing for things less than that, like we just don't get along or something that we may perceive like, hey, you maybe you could get over that with more work versus the extreme cases.
I will get you those numbers next week. I'm going to
Yeah.
have them for y'all because to me, it's important that we figure out the why. Okay?
Yeah, because
Like,
people get
why is
divorced
it?
for crazy things.
Yeah, why does it happen? And I think, and I made a video about the power of the who, but I think the why happens because of the who's. Like
Mm.
I think that because I'm evolving as a man, I don't know who I'm going to be. I just know who I am.
Yes.
She just
Yes.
Right.
knows who she is now, but she doesn't know who she is going to be. Not only
Yes.
do I not know who she's going to be and who I am going to be, I don't even know the reason why I am who I am now. And if you don't know where you came from, you surely don't know where you're going. So you got
Come
two
on.
people with no direction trying to make something work that's supposed to be going in one direction, but we don't even realize we're going in separate directions while we're supposed to be going in the same direction. But because we get blinded by love and how we feel, and oh, baby, I want you to make me happy. Oh, the way you touch me made me orgasm. I can't leave him. Like there's a lot of reason why these people get married. I had a woman that I was with before, and it was all physical. Everything was everything you want physical. And one day she said, Mikhail, can we get married? I said no, because this physicality is so good. There's no way I could trust my mind or my
Mm.
heart because of everything else you do to me. And that's the type of insight that we have to have about ourselves, that we don't jump the proverbial broom. You don't jump the broom because of something you lack. You don't jump the broom because of something you need. You jump the broom because of who you are, and what you put on the table is good enough to contribute to a functioning marriage, to create a. I don't, when we get married, we don't think about how important our marriage is to society. We only think about how important it is to us. I didn't think about when I gave birth to my first son that he's supposed to contribute to society. And we have to provide an atmosphere in a marriage that makes him a productive citizen, a man to be honored, a man to be respected, a man that can change the community and impact lives for generations. I don't think we think about that, because if we did, we wouldn't have got pregnant by some of the people we got pregnant by. And people wouldn't have gotten some people pregnant that they got pregnant. And I just don't think that that type of work is done beforehand. That's something, including myself. In my first marriage, I didn't think about none of that mess when I got married. I just was
Yeah.
in love. I was feeling
Mhm.
her. She was feeling me. And it was real till it wasn't real no more. Okay.
Yeah.
And that concludes this segment. I told y'all that concludes this segment. We're going to go to this next segment. We're going to go to segment 3. I bless the mic because I got something to say. And I rock these headphones because I listen twice as much as I talk. I got Deidre, the author of, what's the name of your book?
What's a good husband?
What's the name of your books, Reba?
A blessing in disguise and from ashes to beauty.
Ashes to Beauty, Blessing in Disguise. And I got my guy Garrett on here he's just a wise dude. We sit up and talk. And on this last segment, what we want to do is, because we might be able to talk about this again, we need to talk about some solutions, right? And I like to get
Yes.
people's impromptu solutions because I'm going to tell you what, nobody can bash women or men better than me. Okay. I can bash every darn body. Okay. I just think like that. But it's not about bashing, it's about coming up with solutions. And I am actually trying to encourage men to be better men, to be better husbands, to be better fathers. That's the point of the podcast. Okay. And women, secondarily or consequently, will become better women and know how to deal with men better just because of the stuff that they teach us and we can teach them. So, in any particular order, what we can do, we can do this like popcorn style. So we can build off each other. So you ain't got to look at this camera and come up with 3 straight solutions yourself. What we're going to do is when you do this part, I am going to make your screen bigger. So you're going to give me one solution and each one of us will give 2. Okay. So who wants to be the one? Who wants to give one solution? And remember, women, you're talking to men about these solutions as a woman. Okay.
I'll
Y'all
go
ready? Who
first.
wants?
I'll go first.
You going to
Yeah.
go first? Who's going to go first?
Oh, go
Okay,
ahead,
let's
Reba.
go.
You,
Let's go. So you're going to be the only one. Let's go.
All right. I'll say one solution is therapy. Please go to
Okay.
therapy. Get the help that you need from your trauma and your past experiences because you might be bringing it in your marriage. And there may be some things that you need to deal with personally before you can even heal the marriage that you have.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Therapy. And as a therapist, I would say that. And just to add a little something to that, men, men. Sometimes you need more than therapy. You need to find a community of men that you can
Yes.
walk with and do life with.
that was
Because
my
one
answer.
thing I've found about men, and I love women, women are strong, they are important, they are powerful, they are valuable. But men need to go get healing from men. Men need to
Yes.
go get advice from men. Men need to
Yes.
go get power from men. Men need to have older mentors. So if it's one solution, I think one solution is you need to find you an older mentor that is successful at something and in marriage. And you need to find a community of men that can walk with you. Because when times get hard, it's okay to talk to a therapist, but you're going to have to pay that person. You need to have some support that's free. People that just love you and going to tell you the truth.
I
Okay?
agree.
Yeah.
Let's go. Who we got? Who next? Let's get
Go
these
deep.
solutions to these people. You ready?
No, he took my answer.
Okay. We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you.
No.
Well,
Go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, a solution would be to take action. You
Mm,
know, you
that's
you
good.
know, when you know, because y'all said all the other ones, so of course all of those, but take action. You know, when your wife is taking time to have these conversations with you, take action, take heed, and really see her as a human being. See her as a little, like we're dealing with the little boy in you. Look through me, your wife and deal with the little girl. She's still a little girl just like you,
Oh
like
my
or
God.
you are a little boy. So it's like never stop treating her like a little girl. You know, like you would take care of your little daughters. Take care of your wife that same way. This is somebody's daughter. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so take action.
Oh my God. That was wonderful. That was
That was one.
wonderful. That
That
was
was awesome.
wonderful. I almost want to
Yes.
comment on it. I will after Gary goes. That was super dope. That was super dope. Go ahead, Gary.
Um, I would say communication. I think most people want to be seen, heard, and understood. And
Mm,
so learning how to communicate effectively and being able to express yourself in a way that comes across as not being offensive or not, it's just being truthful and having that understanding, like, hey, we're going to sit down, we're going to talk. I may say some things that you disagree with. I may say some things that may sound hurtful, but I'm trying to be open and communicate with you. So as a man, as men, we have to learn how to communicate better, because I feel like we hear certain things, we internalize it, and then we immediately react, or maybe vice versa with the wife. But learning truly how to communicate with each other is the foundation, I think, of almost all issues that we deal with in relationships. And so we, men, and it may start with communicating with your peer group, with your friends, with your guys. Start expressing what's really going on. What are you really feeling, where there's no judgment? Nobody's going to like beat you over the head for feeling whatever you feel, whether it's right or wrong in others' eyes. Being able to be open and honest, I think, is a first step. And then being able to have that same, opportunity with your spouse, your wife, to be able to have that open, honest dialogue with no judgment, we come in with no preconceived notions, any of that, but let's just talk. And I just want to end real quick, Mikhail. Me and my wife were actually talking last night, and she said something I thought was really profound. She said, a lot of times we hear people say, two people come together, they bring their half, that other person bring their half, and they make a whole. And she said, actually, the two people should be whole already.
That's right.
When they come together to make a whole, to make the whole better, which means you have to do some work before you make the commitment. You got to work on yourself, to know yourself, know your limitations, know what, just know who you are and know what you want before you make that lifelong commitment. So
you got to say that whole thing for me again. Say it one more time.
Well, let me see if I can.
And since you ain't lying, you should be able to say it again, okay?
Yeah. So basically, two people coming together shouldn't be half and half to make a whole. It should be one whole person and another whole person coming together to make the whole better when they come together, and to do the work prior to the individual work. Meaning, I'm working on myself to know who I am, become a better person, better communicator, more patient, more loving, before I make a lifetime commitment with this other person who hopefully will be doing the same thing. So when we come together, it's like, oh, it works. It just, we're able to overcome those difficulties a lot easier. Not saying the difficulties won't come, but we're able to overcome them easier, because now it's really a team. Like, we're looking at each other like, oh, we're gonna win the championship now, because I got Scotty over there, Scotty Pippen on my side. I got Jordan, and we're going to go take this championship. And that's how it should be. Like, we're a team. We're not against each other. We're not on opposing sides. We are a team, and we're building for the championship. So
that's only going to work if I'm Jordan, bro. I ain't being Pippen. Okay. I'm kidding. You know what? That was pretty good. And I want to add to what Deidre said. So I think a solution, man, is to be vulnerable. Because the difference between weakness and vulnerability, weakness is being available from weakness. Vulnerability is finding strength in your weakness. And I think as men, we have to understand, we have to be in states of vulnerability. How can you make a forever commitment but not be vulnerable to the person you committed to? Y'all be out there waxing y'all cars. Y'all out there working out. Y'all out there doing your man cave looks really good, but your insides suck because you have not let her in. You can't commit to her little girl if you can't be vulnerable, if you can't nurture, if you can't speak life. And that starts with you being humble and you trying to actually remodel your insides, because your marriage looks like your insides, okay? Your external reality comes from your internal power, your internal thoughts, and the way you're governing yourself in the inside, it manifests everything around you. And I do believe that what you speak happens, but better yet, what you live happens. And if you keep living raggedy, your marriage will be raggedy. If you keep thinking raggedy, your marriage will be raggedy. If you keep not investing into your manhood, then you will participate in your marriage like a little boy. So she's actually catering to your little boy because you never grew up. And I know that's a harsh thing for a man to say, but you know what? There's a little boy in me that I have to have mothered and fathered still, but I go to other places to do it so that my wife doesn't become responsible for him. And I want you men to do that. That's why you need therapy. That's why you need books. And that's why you need support groups. And that's why you need a friend like Garrett or other friends that I have. Because if I don't want her to be my mother, I got to find some way to improve that little boy so that she doesn't have to raise me. Because this is one statement that I said, y'all. This statement is cold. So women don't get offended by this statement. Gary, you're gonna absolutely love this statement. Okay.
All right.
Watch this. A king never takes off his crown. I will always share my power, but I will never share my throne. Because if I handle this woman the way I need to be, she's going to enjoy being my queen. Because that's how it should be. That's just the order of things. Because a king has power, and if he gives that power to his wife, it's still his. But if he's not acting like a king, the power is hers. That's one particular piece of advice that I have for men. I got to get this life coach in here. Give me one.
Oh Lord, y'all took all of them. I'll go back to what I said earlier. Accountability. Have accountability for your actions. Have accountability for who you are in life, and also have accountability for what you say and what you don't say. Just the same way he was talking about being vulnerable. Have accountability for you not speaking up and saying certain things happen. And then when you have that accountability, get somebody to help you. Or if you got to bring a third party in, I don't believe that, and that's accountability period, just not for men. This is not just for men, this is for women too. I don't believe that any marriage can just survive with the two people just being at each other. You have to sometimes bring a third party in. That's somebody that y'all trust. It could be a pastor, it could be a minister, it could be a therapist, it could be a counselor. It doesn't matter. But a third party that's gonna see both sides, and so y'all can see each other instead of y'all not seeing each other when it's just the two of y'all. So that's what I believe accountability is a number one functional pillar.
Okay. And this is what I need y'all to do. I need you to encourage married couples, a word of encouragement to married couples, and specifically a word of encouragement to men. Because I believe men need to be, as much as we need support from men, we do need to be encouraged by women, especially being a black man in today's society. It's a lot to deal with being a black man, and it's a lot to deal with being a black woman. And if you can give one word of encouragement to a man, the two women, and then me and Garrett would do the same thing for men. I want y'all to look at this. I want y'all to look into your camera, and I want you to give a word of encouragement to men. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. Hi, black men. You beautiful thing. You got this, okay? We're on your side. We are on your side. We are here as your teammate. We're your rib. We're on the side of you. You can do this. You are made for this. You are king. And we are the queens. We believe in you. I know sometimes it's tough, and you think that the world is on your shoulder, including us. But we really just want you to know that we got you. Have us. Because together, we strong. All right?
Okay. Man, I feel encouraged by that. Man, I felt that actually. And I'm mixed. I ain't even all black, but I felt that. You know what I mean?
All right, Koala
That's
Bear.
pretty good. Okay, where we at? Let's go, life coach. Let's go. I know you got something for me. Encourage the men.
I got you. My encouragement would be you are enough. Don't let this world tell you anything different. When you walk out there and you working, whether you're working or not, you are enough. You are enough because God creates you to be enough. Whether you're black, but I'm talking to a Black man. You are enough. You get beat down a lot from maybe your mom or your history or the world. You are enough. And a lot of times y'all think that y'all got to be more than what y'all are. You are enough because God created you to be enough. That would be what I would say.
Thank you. I'm taking these words in now. For real. For real. That's why I made the screen big so I can selfishly receive all of it myself. Okay. What you got, Garrett? What you got? Encouragement for the men.
I would just say, just take ownership of who you are. Like, know who you are. Be confident in who you are. Walk in your authority that God has given you. He's created in you. And, just have faith. I think, for me, I wouldn't have made it 15 years if I didn't have some level of faith and faith in God. So most importantly, and I know to some it may sound like a cliche, but truly keep God first. Put, like, spiritually, really pray, really cover your family, cover your wife. If you have kids, cover your wife and kids, and walk in that authority that is your God-given right. And don't let anybody else define who you are as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a brother. Like, don't let someone else's opinion of you define who you are. You define who you are, and you walk in that firmly, and be victorious. Like, we're gonna win. In the end, we will win, and that's the bottom line. There is no other option or alternative to this whole thing that we're doing, because it's generations depend on us getting this right now. Future generations, our kids, grandkids, great grandkids, depend on us getting ourselves together as men and walking in the way in which we should.
Amen.
Yes, that was good. And my words would be, men, when people tell you that you are not valuable, it's statistically proven that you are. Because every social ill attached to youth, higher depression, higher teen pregnancy, higher substance abuse, higher gun usage, higher crime, anything attached to kids that's negative only exists because of your absence. So if you ever question the power in you, if you ever question your value, if you ever question that you're not important, if you ever question that you are not needed, all you have to do is Google some statistics, and those statistics will tell you what your absence does to your own family, your own community, and society. So know that you are powerful, know that you are valuable, and you will be instrumental in the plan of God, because if he put seed in you, he found you worthy enough to duplicate. Take that job seriously and do all you can to not just become a better father, not just become a better employee, a better entrepreneur, but please, man, invest in being a better man. And with that being said, I bless the mic because I got something to say. I rock headphones because I'm listening twice as much as I talk. This is the Blue Room Podcast, and we chop it up. We are challenging men to walk in the fullness of their masculinity by challenging their thinking and cultivating their spiritual and emotional health, and challenging them in the areas of mental health, marriage, money, and family. I did actually really, 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 really enjoy this show. We're going to have a part 2. I'll be checking y'all schedules. It might be next week if y'all available. I don't know. So I would like to thank the life coach. Tell them about your information real fast. You got to give it to them.
Hey, I'm Reba. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook as the Breakthrough Coach. So, and my YouTube and podcast also is the Breakthrough Podcast. You can find me on there.
Okay. Deidre?
And I am Author DP. You can find me on Instagram as Author DP. And you can find my book on Amazon.
What's the name of the book?
It's called What is a Good Husband?
Okay.
A children's
Garrett?
book. So the young boys can start hearing seeds on how, we should groom these boys into becoming better men, because we got enough princess books out there and how to be a good wife, and it's not enough children books to explain how young boys can be better men. Sorry.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. And you know what? I got to end it. I bless the mic because I got something to say. I rock headphones because I'm listening twice as much as I talk. Check out the Blue Room podcast. I'm telling y'all, I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor. I have communication techniques. I have marriage coaching. You name it, I have it. I'm developing that channel so men can just grow in all the areas that matter. So subscribe at Move Your Life, MOVEYOURLF, Move Your Life on YouTube. Subscribe. And women, you can also get something from that podcast. And guess what, y'all? I'll see you next time in the Blue Room.